Purpose. Purpose is the new passion. That's what Junaid, one of our board of advisor members from EY for Ascend New England, told me. When we first started putting this conference together, I had an idea that the theme would be finding and achieving your passion. And Junaid said, well, BJ, passion is kind of the older word now. Purpose is the new word popping up everywhere. And he was right. I had seen that word pop up everywhere. And so I agreed with him and I started doing some research about purpose. And it turns out purpose is not only the new passion, but it's also the new mission, the new vision. Companies were publishing their purpose statements left and right, in the last few years. You've got companies who came out and said that they connect the world. You've got companies that came out and said that they solve very complex problems. They bring water to people who are thirsty. They change the lives of people who have rare diseases. So it's become a thing, right? CEOs, leaders have all come out with their own leadership purpose statements. They talk about the things that they do. If I was writing a personal leadership statement for a building tycoon who may be running for office, his purpose might be to build a big freaking wall. So I said, okay, well, in preparation for this conference, maybe a good exercise would be to come up with my own personal leadership purpose statement. So I did some research, and I came across an article from Harvard Business Review called From Purpose to Impact. Has anyone seen that article at all? We will make sure that it's on our Facebook tomorrow and LinkedIn pages, so make sure that you follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Little plug. So the article, the authors of the article came up with 3 things that you can do to get from purpose to impact. What were they? Number 1, make your purpose statement so personal and within the context of your life that you will feel comfortable living that purpose every day. So in other words, do not use generic business terms as a purpose statement. Make it about you. Second, know where you're going. Know what good looks like if you achieve your purpose. Know what your end game is. Okay. Third, work backwards. Once you know the bookends, you know your purpose, you know where you want to go, work backwards to figure out how to get there. That seemed like a really simple solution to me because all day, every day, as a consultant, that's what I talk about. Current state, future state, journey map. Marty Kahn, right? House of Lies. One person saw it. So I said, I'm going to give this a shot. So I started thinking about my childhood. And what was the first thing that you think I came up with as the answer to why was I put on this world? What was my earliest purpose? Now, I'm going to generalize a little bit here. I know there's a lot of Pan-Asians here. You may get this right away. It didn't take me very long to realize my first purpose in life, make my parents happy. Right? You got a couple of folks are nodding and smiling. You know this, right? And it's easy to go with this one because the impact was something they drilled into our minds quite early in our lives, right? When they taught us about metrics that mattered in terms of making them happy, what was that metric? Your grades, right? They were the first one to teach us about regression analysis. What was your grade last quarter? What was your versus this quarter? What's the variance, right? They were the first ones to teach us to think about what was your grade in the beginning of the year and what was the trajectory and what are you projected to get at the end of the year. They were the first ones to teach us about stacking and ranking. How did you do against the rest of your class? How did you do against your best friend? Right? You come home and say, I got 4 A's and a B. How did Getty do? Getty was my best friend. Like, no reaction. How did Getty do? That was what they wanted to know. Okay. So it was easy to understand where you wanted to go there. But at some point, grades no longer matter. And hopefully for most of you by now, grades don't matter anymore. Then it becomes a little bit harder to put your finger on what is it that is going to make your parents happy. Because when you start to articulate the value and impact that you brought in your efforts to make them happy, you usually receive the response of, And it's usually followed by their innate, God-given talent to be executive coaches, because what they will say next is, you could have probably done a little better. You can still do a little better than that, right? How many of you realize that this is what you hear all the time, right? Stretch, they're great executive coaches. They don't even know it. They can be making millions. They could be making millions as executives all day, every day. They say reach higher, don't peak, right? But okay, maybe that's why after school and when it's no longer easy for us to figure out what the impact is, that purpose that started out early in our childhood to make our parents happy turns into a lifelong journey of purpose. I don't think I'll ever stop trying to make my parents happy. I think I was just doing that last night. So you start to think, okay, well, that's not my only purpose. I started thinking to myself, what was the next thing that I knew when I was a kid? Make myself happy. I was really good at that. You eat the food that you want to eat so that you wiggle in your chair. You listen to the music that you love so that it rocks your world, right? You save money to buy that one video game that you're really looking forward to come out during Christmas, and that video game turns into a car and turns into a house. You date the captain of the cheerleader teams just so you say you can, and then you marry the girl next door because she was worth it. I'm pretty good at making myself happy. I did a pretty good job. It was easy because I knew what good looked like, right? I didn't have to guess. I knew. And to get there, unfortunately, one of the things that does happen to me and probably to a lot of you is sometimes we don't respect ourselves enough to allow ourselves to be happy. And so we may give up on some of the things that get to that impact. But that's okay. And that's okay. There are things that you have to make some choices about. So I thought about this some more, and I said, okay, I make my parents happy, I make myself happy. Is that all there is to my purpose? And I said, probably not. I'm pretty good at making just about everybody else happy as well. You know, I make my brothers happy so that they don't stuff me in the oven. I'm just kidding. I'm way stronger than they are. I made my friends happy so that, if you ever get in a scrap that Tacky was talking about in Wallaston's schoolyard, you have some friends to back you up, right? I don't get in fights either. But I don't run, clearly. I make my wife happy because why? Happy wife equals happy life. I make my kids happy. Because I want them to get off the floor and stop whining. They're 3 and 2. Can you imagine the house? At work, I make my coworkers happy because I want to go to work with a bunch of folks who are really happy and ready to go win something together. I make my boss happy because I want that sponsor that we were talking about pounding the table trying to get me that promotion. I make my clients happy because I want them to spend more money on me. I make my customers happy because I want the thumbs up net promotion score. So I have done a lot of these things to make folks happy. And I thought to myself, maybe my purpose statement is to make the whole freaking world happy. Does that make me a clown or a comedian or Mr. Leo Getz? Like, do I just get things for people and make them happy? No. Because when I think about the how, what I realized, there were 3 things that I do, and they're on my terms, not on anyone else's terms. And these 3 things, as I think about it, can actually help most people get from any purpose to any impact. Number 1, you need to give, that's the cable version. You need to care. I was going to say give a hoot, right? You need to care and you need to make time. You need to care and you need to make time. Last night, as you can imagine, this conference being as busy as it was, last night I was going through all the logistics in my head. I was thinking about this talk. I was thinking about all the things that everyone is trying to do. My son came up to me and pulled on my shirt and he says, "Daddy, can you take me to the carnival?" And I was like, what? Now? Like in my head, oh my gosh, now? How are we going to do this? I looked at him and I realized I cared. I needed to make time. I travel Monday through Thursday. I don't see him. I usually get home at 11 o'clock on Thursday night, so I usually don't even see him until Friday. And last weekend I was in New York at the Ascend Namba conference, so I wasn't even home last weekend. He wanted to go out, and he asked me to take him out. You need to care, you need to make time. The smile on his face when I was going on little rides and eating cotton candy was worth it. All the things that I'm going to do to mess up during this talk and the next talk, it was worth it, right? Second, you need to show up. And you need to show up again, and you need to show up again. Consistency matters. Those sponsors, those advocates who are going to help get you to the next level of your career are not going to do it for you if you just showed up once. Well, they're not going to do anything for you if you don't show up at all, right? But if you just show up once, that's not going to do it. You need to show up again and again and again. Students, if you're trying to get a job, when you're networking with folks, you can't show up for the first time, hand them a resume, expect them to hire you. It's not going to happen. You need to keep that relationship, show up again and again and again. Last thing that I do that's on my own term, dig deeper, reach higher, go further. I spend a lot of time on stage at Ascend events, whether it's national or local or at the schools, talking about the kinds of things that we should flex because of our cultural diversity, the differences that we have. There are things that may be holding us and keeping us below the bamboo ceiling, and it's a clash with Western culture. But the one thing that I mentioned earlier that we all have in common is the fact that our tiger moms and our dragon dads pushed us to be better than we are every single day. They didn't let us peak at being a valedictorian. I was not one, just kidding. But I'm sure some of you were. They didn't let us peak when we landed our first job or got our first promotion. They always push us to be more than we can. I did not stop when I was thinking about my personal purpose statement from making my parents happy. I did not stop at making myself happy, or my kids, or my wife. I ended with making the whole freaking world happy. Why? Because happy is the impact that I was going for. Happiness creates an endorphin that can accelerate healing in people who are very sick. They can pull us out of the deepest depression. They can heal some of the pains that are going on in our country today between hatred and bigotry and violence. Happy makes us feel okay, that the human condition is going to be okay. Happy makes me want to live in a world, my world, that I've made happy, and it's the place I want my children to live in. Thank you.